Please don't fail me now, this tripod. Okay. I think it's gonna stay. Happy Monday, everybody. If you can see me and hear me, I always say, let me know. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know what the weather is. Just give me a high five. Just give me a wave. Just give me something so I know that this is working. If you can see, the sun is out. I actually have so many windows open in our house right now, and our windows are dirty. So there's that. So, I mean, I'm enjoying the weather, but the windows are so bad. And we do not have little kids. I mean, we have kids, and they do, I swear, there's just handprints everywhere. And when the sunshine is starting to come in, you know, early in the morning as the seasons are changing, you know how bad your windows are. I hate that in the morning, but we're just gonna enjoy it. We can see the sunshine. They're not that dirty yet. Well, they are that dirty, but the sunshine is still coming through. So I'm grateful for that. So today I thought I would share, this is kind of bigger than I thought it would be. Did I share this? I can't remember my last thrifting haul, if I shared this little stool. So I found this at a thrift store, and I thought I'd kind of share how I go about doing these projects and some of the questions I get asked all the time. First of all, I have to say, always look for little stools at your thrift stores. So this one has a pad up here and some cloth or some fabric. But anytime I find a small wooden stool, no matter what it looks like, because you can always paint it, any wooden stool in any size, I always pick them up because I like to use them not only, I mean, you can set them down next to a chair as a footstool, but if there's some smaller ones, I should have, why don't I think of this stuff until I get on here? I should have brought some of my littler ones, but I like to use the little tiny ones as risers on shelves and on, like on a mantle or like a buffet or something. So I always pick them up. They will always, I just will. So even if I can't use one, I always pick them up. So, because I can always find a space for them. So I thought I would share. So this one, so first I haven't cleaned this or anything because I just wanted to show you what I do. But always, if there's one with a pad like this, always look underneath to see how hard it's going to be to recover. These are a dream. So can you guys, so you can tell, well, I'm going to let go of this because it's going to fall off. But this one was not even screwed in, and it doesn't need to be because if you can see, there's like a lip inside here. So it doesn't need to be screwed. It's going to stay that way. So yeah, so always look underneath here to see how this is. And if you're ever going to recover chairs or you're going to pick up chairs like a thrifted chair or at a yard sale or something, and they're covered like this, always flip them upside down to see how this piece is connected. Some of them are just easy like this, and it's a couple of screws you need to take out. So when it's easy to just, somebody already did recover this, easy to just staple on the fabric. Some of them are not like that at all, and you want to make sure you know that before you buy them, unless you can upholster. I wish that's one thing I knew how to do because, I mean, a good and a bad, I would be rescuing so many things, and a bad thing is I would have a furniture store if I knew how to do that. So maybe not so good. But if you know how to do that, then it's different for you. But if not, always look underneath to see how this stuff is put together. And this one was easy peasy. So I'm going to take that out. And now I don't think I want it padded. So I don't think I want to use this. But I will take this all apart. And there's like a wood form here. I didn't bring the tools to take this apart. Again, you know, if I would have thought this through. So what you need is like pliers, some heavy duty pliers. I'm not going to be able to do this now because of the staples. But there's obviously like a wood base. This is hard. And then there's some padding and then the fabric goes over it. I just want the wood base in there. I don't even know what this looks like. But even if you were going to throw this away, keep that wood base because it's the exact measurement you need. So if it's something I didn't like or I couldn't paint or whatever, I would just trace this in on a piece of board and then cut it out. I also, well, I don't know yet. Depending on how thick that board is, I may want a thicker one so it's flush to the top here and I could actually set things on it on top. Or you could still use it kind of as a stand or something to set on top, even if it goes down there further. Am I making any sense? Because I feel like I'm talking fast. I just kind of want to, now I'm curious to see. So this kind of recovering is my jam because it's just a staple, not even like a staple gun like you need a compressor for, just a handheld stapler. So easy to do. And so if you are on and you can see me, just let me know. If you have questions, let me know. If you get on this on replay later, just put in the comments, #replay. Okay. I'm clearing my throat. I swallowed some water wrong. And so now it's like, you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just pulling this off. Grab some of the staples as you do that because you don't want your, okay. Okay, so they did this in a few layers. That's funny. You don't need to do it like this. You can just wrap. And here's the next one. So you may find that you like this a little better. This is a pink color. I'm just trying to get to some wood down here. This is like a flower. I think it might look really good. Oh my goodness. You guys, we're in it now, so just bear with me here. Oh, well, okay. Okay, just hang tight. Some of these are all sticking up now. Again, if I thought about this, just all you need are like some heavier pliers. Get in your husband's forbidden, like the toolbox that you're not supposed to be in. Like my husband, hides his tools, gives us the ones. Okay, so what I saw, can you guys see this, is I got excited because I saw this wood tone. That's really pretty. But it looks like, oh my gosh. So this is this like real? Okay, so the original thing, I'm not gonna undo this now because I wanna go outside and do the rest. But I'm going to be taking this whole thing off. But it's like burlap, they nailed those on. So that's kind of cool, but there's something in there. But it doesn't look like fabric. So I don't know. It looks like hair, not like hair, but so there's padding here. I'm definitely gonna take this apart and see what this wood looks like because I wanna use this hopefully. If it all looks like this, even with those holes, I would flip it the other way. So there shouldn't be holes on the top. If it all looks like this, I would leave it this color, maybe put some Restore finish on it, and then just leave it like that, if it's thick enough. It feels pretty thick. Okay. These are how the projects go. Thrift store bench. It's not a bench, it's a stool. So what I do, I get a lot of questions about how do you clean a piece? You guys, it's really not hard. Even if this was a big piece of, like a big buffet or it's a big dresser, it's whatever cleaner I have on hand. So this right next to me is just Thieves Cleaner. So it's like a concentrate you buy and then you add water to it. If I have like a Mrs. Meyer's multi-purpose cleaner, that's all I use. Dawn dish soap. Don't use dish soap. Don't do that. Just kidding. Just because it gets like sudsy and it's a good cleaner for a lot of things, but don't use that. Any kind of just all vinegar and water, like I have that all the time, so I will use that a lot too. But so yeah, so every time before I paint, I do like to just kind of clean. And especially if you're rescuing these pieces and they're kind of, you'll want to clean it. So I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but that's all I do, literally. Sometimes I have to get like a sponge or what are those? Like on the back of a sponge where it's like you can scrub it a little bit, it always depends on your piece, but it's not anything special you need to get. I recently got a question about smells in pieces like dressers and stuff. And I personally, if there's anything like that, I just don't like to pick them up. I have done many of them and some of the smells come out great and some of them don't. And I did, a lot of you guys were sending me tips and stuff that you've used to get smells out of pieces. And so I was sharing those. Coffee grounds, coal briquettes, putting those in the drawers. Sitting it out in the sun helps. Vinegar and water, bleach, baking soda. And then there was sanding it really helps. Just to get like that top layer off where the smell is. So like inside the drawers, sanding all of them. And then maybe putting like is it salve on over it? I've heard that works really well too. I have not tried that, so I don't know. Okay, so now another thing that I do is, this is dark wood. And I don't know what I was on the internet, and there was a chippy white little stool. It was actually a riser, and I think it was like a reproduction one, but I really liked it. And so I want to paint this one white, and I want it to be distressed. So this color wood, I'm not going to put anything over it. So I'm not going to put, like, I've shared the Boss primer kind with you guys, and I'm not going to put any of that over this, or a primer. That's another question, over this, because I am going to distress it in the end, and I want some of this dark to show through. Do I always prime pieces? No. And again, it's kind of hard to say it's an all or nothing, because it's not. Every piece is different. And those kind of things are things that we go over in the membership that I started, the Creative Squad, for those of you that want like more in depth, or send a picture and say, what would you do? Or do I need to do this? Just because every piece is so different. So I do not always prime, but if this was a really red wood, if that makes sense, or yellow or orange, I will always use that Boss, just because I don't want that color to come through. And so I'm using the triangle brush from Zebra Paint. I love their brushes. And okay, how am I gonna do this, friends? I'm literally just going to paint over the wood. And see, can you guys see those? There's some nicks and dings in this wood. That makes me love it that much more, because I want it to look like it's been around for a while. I want it to have some character. I don't want it to look like I just picked it up out of like a retail store. I want it to look old. You can do like wood filler and the mud, like I like to use from Dixie Belle Paint, to fill all these little things, but I love those. Sometimes Matt, when he's working on projects, he like older pieces like this, and he'll be doing something. He's like, oh, I think I gotta, like, I'll fill that in and I'll sand it. And I'm like, no, you want that imperfection. You want that character. Like with this, I do. Some pieces you do. You want to make it perfect and not have any imperfections. But a lot of the pieces that I do and what we have in our home, I want them to be full of character and like have the dings and the bruises and whatever that they normally would get over time. So I get questions about painting, brushing, rolling, spraying, all the things. So we have used sprayers before. I'm trying to do this as I'm looking in the mirror. This isn't working very well. This is not big, but it's taking up so much space on the camera. This is just a white paint from Dixie Belle Paint. It's cotton. It's probably my favorite white color from them. They have a few different ones, but I really like the cotton. So as far as brushing, spraying, or rolling, definitely I would choose brushing or rolling over spraying. Spraying is amazing. It's just a lot of work. So if we have done it before where we have multiple painting projects to do or get done. And so then we will get the sprayer out. We have used many sprayers in our flip houses and would tell you to do sprayers 100% for that, because it's a much bigger job and it kind of justifies getting out the big sprayer and all the cleanup and all the prep and all of that. But for something like this, never. I would never get a sprayer out for this, just because it's just so much. It's too much work for what it's worth. I know that sun, I'm not going to apologize for the sun, but it's just white paint going over this. So a lot of people will get frustrated at this point because they think, okay, do that, it's gonna, at this point, a lot of people get frustrated and they kind of stop because they think it's not covering. But you can see, like right here, it kind of looks gray, like it's not fully white. It will take a few coats, and even if you're distressing, it will take a few coats to get it perfectly covered. But if you're distressing, you don't need it to be perfectly covered, if that makes sense. So just know that it's going to take a few coats of paint, and don't get frustrated with your first coat. You're just putting on a base color. That's all you got to think about. It's not going to be perfect coverage. It's not going to look flawless. It's going to look like a hot mess before, but don't give up, because that's just part of the process. Now I could, if I wanted to, instead of, again, trying to do this, instead of doing the distressing, which, let me show you that, I'm just going to use a handheld sander. I will probably take it outside once the paint is fully dry. You could do wet sanding. You could try the wet sanding that I've shared on here before or recently. But you could also use a glaze or an antiquing wax to give it that kind of rough look. Since this wood is so dark, I will probably just sand and then just sand. That was another thing I was going to talk about. Just sand around the edges. I have a blanket on here because the window's open. It's a little chilly, but I love it. So this is a 120 grit. I'm going to guess before I make it a dust. 120. So it's a little piece. I don't want to heavily distress it, so I'm not going to get out like my rotary sander. I'm just going to use this handheld sander. I have a lot more control with this, and it's not a tough grit, so I'm not going to get tons of, it's not going to be overly distressed. But if you worked it more, it would. Just saying, you have more control with this, and it's not so abrasive. That's, I think, the word I'm looking for. So I will do that over the edges where you would normally get distressing. So anything like the edges here, the top here, where somebody would like nick it, or it would fall over, or it would hit the wall. Another good tip for you, if you want to know how to distress or where to distress, is literally when you're picking up pieces and you see those dings and dents and things that I said I will not cover up. That's where the natural wear will be, and so then spend your time distressing there. Does that make sense? Some people will say, I don't know where to distress or how to distress. Think about where it would normally get banged up and bruised. So the outer edges, nothing in here is going to get distressed. Usually on the edges of the legs. Edges is the right word, right? Edges of the legs always, like here, you can just tell. Can you guys see this? So right here along the edge, can you see how beat up that is? Can you guys see that? I'm trying to make this. Right along here, it's beat up all along there. Like there's just so that's where it would normally get distressed. And so that's where you would spend your time sanding. You could also, sometimes when I'm after I've distressed something, I just, like, the paint color just needs to be a little bit, like, I want it to look more dingy. I always say that, or grungy. I just want it to look more old. And so after I distress, I may decide to put a glaze or a wax over it. It just adds that little bit extra. So it just depends on the look you're going for. As I'm painting over this dark wood with white paint, the dings and the divots and all that, you can see them. It highlights them. So that it's just a good guide to tell you where to distress and where to spend your time with the sander. And it's paint, right? So at this stage, if I painted this and I went in and distressed it and I haven't added wax or anything else on it, and I thought it looked like a distressed mess, right? Like I didn't love it. It's paint. So just go over it with paint again and get lighter with the sandpaper the next time around. So you can't screw it up. But this will be a cute little bench. I keep calling it a bench. It isn't a bench. It's a stool. that I can use in so many different places. And it was so inexpensive. It's paint I had on hand, a little sanding, and then figuring out what that wood will look like. And maybe cutting like a different piece of wood on top. But we always keep scrap wood in our, is it, I don't know. Was horsehair used in some of these? Because it looks like that almost under here. And I don't want to open it now in here because it is going to make a mess. But aren't there, is it chairs that are made with horsehair? I don't know. You guys can tell me. They stuffed them or something. I could be totally wrong. But that's kind of what it looks like is poking out of here. I'll have to show you. So pay attention to stories because I'll just do that in stories as I'm undoing that, what is actually in here. Okay, so I'm going to get at least one coat on this. And another good tip is to make sure your coats dry fully between each coat. Because if not, even if you're painting walls, there's so many times when Matt will do the rolling and I will do all the cutting in and the trim. And that, I'll make it around one lap around a room with the trim. And then it's like, okay, I'll just start where I was. And then as soon as I get up there, if it's not fully dry, I'm just taking all that paint back off. So just make sure your coats are dry in between, fully dry. So you're not just pulling off paint and making it more work for you. So, okay, I think those were all the things I wanted to talk about. Do you guys have any questions? Let me pull this closer. Oh, that's what I'm always scared of. The whole thing's with horsehair. You guys, this might be horsehair in here. Here, let me show you. Can you guys see like right in here? What is that? Oh, is that horsehair? Like I said, I'm not gonna do it here, but what is that? We might even wait for Matt to get home to do that part, but okay, I'm gonna go back and see if there are any questions because I can see people are here now. Missouri is having good weather. Virginia is nice and sunny. Ohio is sunny. This makes me so happy. Everybody is. The other day, where was I? And some lady said to me, you have no idea how much the sun and like good weather affects your mood until you haven't had it for so long. And then it comes back. It's just so true. So I'm so happy you guys are getting this weather too. I said to Matt, can we bring out the chairs in the front? Because is this it? Like, is there no more winter? And he said, well, it snowed in April here before. I'm like, oh, please say no. California, happy Monday to you. It's working. You guys can see me. Okay. You guys are telling me this could be horsehair. Well, I would rather have it just be the wood and I'll get it taken apart, or Matt will tonight, and I'll show you what was in there. New Hampshire, New Jersey is going to be 70 on Friday. Here's the thing though. So if you guys have been here for a while, I would rather be cold than hot. Like the heat and the humidity, no. But so like fall is my favorite, but it seems like fall you get it for like a week and then we're straight into winter. And then now we're going from winter into summer. I hope we are not going straight into summer. Let's just have it be 60 for the next few months. And not go straight into the heat and humidity. 70, that's crazy. I can't believe how nice it is today. I had no idea it was going to be this nice with the windows open. Okay. Let me know, do these help you guys when I'm sharing like the thrift store makeovers or like these painting tips? If these help, please let me know. It's good for me to know what to share on here, what not to share on here. I do get a lot of the same questions about projects like this. So when I find an easy project at a thrift store that I can just illustrate what I'm talking about or share on the website, I think it's helpful for me. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys. But do you have any other questions before I hop off? See this paint? It's dry already where I've already been. Here's another quick tip. Using the right paint makes a huge difference. When I first started DIYing and I had to get creative because our budget wasn't going to allow me to do all the things that I wanted to do in our first home. I'm like, I'm going to decorate it like I've seen on Pinterest and on the TV shows and in the magazines. I'm just going to do that. Like, we're just going to go buy all these things. And then you go out and you're like, what? Like, you have your first job out of college and you're like, no, we aren't. We're not going to buy any of that stuff. So I had to get creative in decorating our home. And these are the kinds of things that I taught myself and now I'm just passionate about it. Like, you can have the home that you love without breaking the bank. You can have money in your savings account. You do not have to spend a lot of money and still get the exact style you want. So I'm a little passionate about it. But when I started out, I was just using house paint. Like, if we would paint the walls and we had white paint or whatever color, that's what I was using on furniture pieces and stuff, which, I mean, it's not a horrible thing, but some of these paints, and I've tried a lot of them, they're made for these kinds of projects and they make them so much better and easier and the outcome's so much better. Same with the paintbrushes I love. But if you can get some good paint, because the coverage is just so much better and it's made for these kinds of projects, if that makes sense. It's not, I mean, it's not the end all be all, but I would highly recommend it. Okay, these tips are helpful. Okay, thrift store makeovers. I mean, if you could go to the thrift store and every time you walked away with something, I could do one all the time, like a makeover, but sometimes you don't find anything. Like this last time I went through, I did not find anything. So, okay, I'm going to hop off. If you don't have any other questions, I won't take up any more of your Monday. It's afternoon. Here it is, I guess. But if you're watching this later, let me know. Just put in #replay. And if you have questions, I will come back in and answer them, of course. So I think we're going to get rid of some horsehair tonight. Hopefully have this done. And then I will share it later on the feed this week. So, okay. I think that's it.